Hey friends, my name is Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac, and I am an audiophile. And today, I'm going to talk about the top 5 reasons people become audiophiles. And at the end of this little video, I am going to do a music review. So stay tuned. But top 5 reasons people become audiophiles, whether they admit it or not, because a lot of audiophiles are in denial. But let's just put that aside for a second. The top 5 reasons they become audiophiles is, number 1, this may surprise you, they like music a lot and they want to listen to it sounding its best. I guess that's, like you might say, the purest reason someone becomes an audiophile is because they really care about music. It is a passion that continues through their life, and they try to get a good sounding audio system to make music sound the best to them. I would say that makes the most sense of all. But following quickly on the heels of that one, the number 2 reason is they like gear. They like the stuff. They like the look of it, the feel of it, the history of it, who made it, where it was made, when it was made. You know, was it made in the United States if they're American? If they're Japanese, was it made in Japan by someone who's basically a national treasure? That happens. That's not a joke. So, you know, those are really good reasons to become an audiophile, because a lot of audiophiles don't admit it, that they have this love of gear. But I think that is fundamental to many audiophiles. And then in a similar vein, there's a type of audiophile who just loves the technology of it, the design of it, how did the designer overcome these obstacles to create something that was hopefully better. You know, it's like when, his name just popped out of my head, the guy who designed acoustic suspension speakers. You know, before that, you couldn't make a small speaker that made a reasonable amount of bass, or good bass. And then, I guess, God, what's his name? But anyway, you guys know who he is, and I'll put it in the caption below this video. But he overcame a technical problem and created something that didn't exist before. That is a fascination for many audiophiles, just different, you know, in different types and forms, but the technology of how to make something sound better is also part of that story. Then there are people who, the number 4 reason, that was number 3. Number 4 is they didn't set out to become an audiophile. They just bought something, let's say speakers or an amplifier, and one thing led to the next thing and led to the next thing, and it was sort of a gradual process. They didn't wake up one day and said, oh, I'm going to be an audiophile, or think about it in some other way, but you know, that they were becoming an audiophile. Some people, it just happens over time. And then the 5th reason is they're rich and they want to own really good stuff. You know, I sold high-end audio for 16 years, and some people would just come in and say, I want the best. I want the best speaker. I want this. You know, what they meant by the best, was always kind of tough to nail down. But this saying words to the effect, I want something really good, I want something the best, because I own nice things in my life. I have a $5 million apartment, and the rug on my floor is this beautiful handmade rug, and it costs $50,000, and I have paintings on the wall that are $100,000. I want to have a really good stereo. That happened a lot, actually. And that's a valid reason, too, because people like owning nice things. And if they can afford it, some of them buy audio. So, you know, I think it's that. Now, I'm sure there are other reasons we could come up with, and you guys should in the comment section below. But I think those 5 reasons, music, gear fascination with the technology as opposed to the specific gear, that they slowly became an audiophile over time, and they're rich and they just want to own good stuff. Those are the 5 reasons I have come up with. Feel free to add to my list. So today's music review is not a review so much of a specific album, but of a band. And the band is the Ventures. You know, I may have talked about them before, I don't know, but anyway, I was playing the Ventures, this record, the other day, which I paid $2 for about 10 years ago. And first of all, the Ventures started 60 years ago. And they are still together in some form. I don't know who's left from the original band, but they still exist. And now, if you're young, you may never have heard of them, but they were gigantic in the 60s. They sold 100 million albums. Not singles, 100 million albums over their 60-year career, according to Wikipedia. And that's pretty staggering. Now, I would say the early period, they started in 58 through the 60s, the late 60s was their best period. And the thing that really grabs me about the Villchur's music is they're playing, it's a guitar instrumental band, and a lot of times they did covers of other people's songs. But the production is so good. It really, really holds up on a great system today. It's just staggering how they could make records that sound this sophisticated with very, for lack of a better word, primitive technology in the 50s and 60s. They're contemporaries of the Beatles, but their records are, production-wise, way ahead of the Beatles. Certainly the mid-60s Beatles. So, pretty amazing. So this happens to be, this record I showed you, is a greatest hits on their original label, which I think is Dalton. But there's a million Villchur's greatest hits, and they had very 60s looking covers like this. And you can get one of those, or if you just want to try one album, which is probably their most famous, and it's called Telstar. And this works as a record. A lot of their albums are not terribly good from beginning to end, and I would strongly recommend a greatest hits. But if you want to buy one album that isn't a greatest hits, which has plenty of hits on it actually, Telstar, which is from the early 60s, I think 62 or 63, that would be a fine way to get into the Villchurs. And I would recommend buying the stereo versions and not the mono, because in those days, mono, a lot of people bought mono records. But their stereo mixes are incredibly sophisticated. The way they used reverb and space and having the drums over there and the guitars. It's very, very, it still does not sound crude. It sounds like they were people who really knew what the hell they were trying to achieve. And nobody else made records that sounded like that. It was totally their creation or their producers. I don't know if they got lucky with the producer or it was the band that knew how to make these sounds. But in either case, the Villchurs, early records, check them out. My name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. Thanks so much for watching.